Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lanes podcast. Just before we get onto the podcast quickly, guys, just want to talk to you about our new sponsor that's come on board, Books and Gifts Direct. Books and Gifts Direct is Australia's largest direct seller of books and gifts. They sell their products from lunchrooms, reception desks, and they're in other places like schools, childcare centres, businesses, hospitals, community centres, and other corporate entities. Their books and gifts sell up to 70% off recommended retail price, and as the leading direct seller of books and gifts across Australia, they have a strong buying power, and without the overheads of a shopfront, they can afford to pass on significant savings. So guys, if you definitely want to have a look at this, I recommend it. Link will be in the bio, but let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's get into the episode. Holy guacamole. Now, just watched Penrith versus Parramatta, and let me just say, wow, what a game. What a game. That was an outstanding game. But guys, on today's episode, a little review of the week 2 of the NRL finals. Penrith Panthers versus Parramatta Eels was a cracker, and Manly versus the Sydney Roosters, another really, really strong performance from Tommy Bra and the Bird Gang. So guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the show. Welcome to another episode of the Lanes podcast. Yes, we're back for another episode, guys. I don't know about you, but geez, these NRL finals, man, there's been some really, really, really good games, and it's probably one of the best finals series I can think of for a while. Now, I'm not too sure how far back I can go, but probably 2015, or 2017 with the North Queensland Cowboys, both years, they had a really good run. Those were probably some of my favourite final series. But yeah, guys, I'm very, very impressed at the NRL standard right now. I think they're doing a really, really good job. But guys, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get the Parramatta versus Panthers game out of the way first because it's fresh in my mind. It's fresh in everyone's mind right now. What a game. Like, dead set, just outstanding football. And it wasn't a really high-scoring game, and it wasn't really an entertaining game and a lot of acrobatics, this and that. But my God, it was a hard-nosed, physical, strong, tough game. And I think sometimes they're the best games that you can get, especially in finals. There was 2 tries scored the whole game. And let's not, and let's be a bit honest, both tries, pretty lucky tries, both coming off kicks. And, and what that shows to me is the defensive, pressure and sustainability from both teams was at an all-time high. And it just shows you what finals intensity is, what finals football is actually all about. And, I want to say, before I talk about Penrith, I'll talk about Parramatta first. 6 weeks ago, I had them done, written, a line in the sand. I thought they were the pretenders. I thought they were gone. I thought there's no chance that they could win. I thought that they could dead set possibly lost to Newcastle in their first week. I dead set thought that they would have got maybe beaten pretty badly by Penrith this game. If they played like last week's game, and if they let Newcastle scored 20 points. I thought, geez, let's be honest here. Penrith could put on a little bit of a cricket score here. They could get 30, 40 points, you just didn't know. But my God, the defensive intensity, the effort that they had, it's hard to say if they deserved to win the game or not, but geez, they played tough. No team really deserved to lose this game, and it was such a tug of war, such a grind. You just thought, the moment Parramatta are getting on top, they knock the ball on. The moment Penrith are getting on top, they go through for a try. They're disallowed. The disallowment of Jerome Luai was a massive factor. Brent Nadens was a massive factor. If Cleary passes the ball to Luai in the opening first 5 minutes, Luai might get meat pie, and then told his fucking multi might look a little bit better and better. Because I had Ramey crossing the line. He nearly crossed twice. Cleary just passed the ball. What's doing? But no, going back onto it, for Parramatta, they did really good, and they ended up getting back into the grind. I just don't think that people might be putting, Junior Paulo, how can you knock the ball on this and that? Wasn't great service, and it was an average catch. And I think that typified the amount of hard work and the amount of work that he had to do to get to that point. And I don't think that defines the game. I think what defines the game is just the defensive effort, the prowess. And I just thought it was such a good game. It was such a good game. Now, Parramatta, I know Brad Arthur had the shits in his post game conference, post press match conference. There we go, got it right. He was talking about every time Parramatta got on top, there was stoppages, and I actually get that. I get that. That Mitch Kenny one was kind of ludicrous a little bit. He was out of the play, and the weird part was he came on and there was no interchanges left for Penny, but then Penny were able to get a free interchange. I'm not too sure what's doing there. I definitely think that there could have been an interchange there, but I'm not too sure. Maybe because he was injured, there might have been a reason. But yeah, it's very interesting there that take Brad Arthur had. But I just thought Penrith looked sharper in spurts, and then Parramatta looked really, really sharp. And I thought Parramatta were actually going to jag it. I thought they were going to get the win. I thought that they had a chance to score. But going back to that, Penrith's defense, there's a reason why they're the best defensive team in the competition, and I think it was proven tonight. Like, when Parramatta had a little bit of ball, in the first half, they couldn't score, and it typified when they passed it to Hayes Dunster on the wing, and Hayes had to, catch and kick it. That's a pressure, he's in a world of pressure there, Hayes Dunster, and it just turned me. They couldn't go around him or through him. They probably had to kick it, and that was the only way Parramatta could score. But in saying that, it's the only way Penrith could score too tonight. I thought Parramatta's defensive effort was really, really strong. It was something that, if you're a Parramatta fan, why isn't that every week? Like, why is that not every week? And I still don't get what Brad Arthur's doing, but Isaiah Papali'i, he has to start every game. Mate, if he's off contract at the end of this season or next season, you give him whatever you want. He has been a great pickup for you guys. I really liked him. He looked really, really damaging every time he had the ball. Sometimes when he had the ball, I thought he was going to go over for a little bit of meat there. So, yeah, I'm very, very shocked to see, him not start. But in saying that, he had a great impact off the bench, and he did his role really well. And saying that, Nathan Brown, he came on, and then he came off. He never came back on. There's something doing there. I'm not too sure what the go is there. I think if he wouldn't be too happy, with him playing only that amount of minutes. So that's an interesting take there. And then Sterlo on the commentary was talking about, why is Viliame not on? He did actually end up having a little bit of an injury, a little bit of a foot complaint, ankle complaint there. So that's why he didn't come on. But you look at it, I think Parramatta, I think they overachieved this season still, if you ask me. And yes, it's been 3 straight years of making the second round and not getting back to, the preliminary finals or the grand final. The last time they made the grand final was 2009 when Hindy was captain, and Melbourne Storm rorted the cap. But in saying that, Parramatta, I think you guys did a good job. 6 weeks ago, you were written off. You had a line in the sand. I don't even think if you're a Parramatta fan, you could have thought you could have been this close to getting to a preliminary final. So, guys, I think you did a really good job. I will say, if they want to get over that hump, they need to really just double down on Mitch Moses, Isaiah Papali'i, and I think Junior Paulo's that's their key. That's their 3 best players, if you ask me. I think Guffo is really super safe, but I think that they have a little bit of edge, a little bit of strike around them, and I think you got to double down on those players. But if you're a Parramatta fan, I think from 6 weeks ago, you guys were done. It was like, geez, Parramatta are going to get absolutely steamrolled by anyone they versus in the finals. So I think Brad Arthur, he did a really good job. He gave them the break. He let them just be players, and I think the rigors of this going to Queensland. It can favour teams and it can really fault teams. Like, it favours the Melbourne, but it could really fault a Parramatta. And I think that, BA did a really good job there. So if you're a Parramatta fan, be confident and be happy with your abilities. And, you still got next year, and, you never know what happens. You might go out and get some, nice under-the-radar pieces, like you got Isaiah Papali'i this year. Maybe you let go of a Sean Lane to free up cap space for Nathan Brown. You just never know what happens. So if you're a Parramatta fan, you can still be confident. I still think you need a little bit more edge, a little more players that just have a little bit more strike for you. Go forward. But yeah, if you're a Parramatta fan, you did a pretty good job. Now we're going to talk about Penny. I'll keep it as short as I possibly can. But we looked really, really flat, especially attacking within the own 30 to 20 metre zone. We're just doing some non-characteristic, plays. Sometimes we're passing it to a person when we didn't need to. Sometimes we just weren't in our shape. We weren't in our right, positions where we need to be on the floor, on the field. So it was a little bit scrappy for me, and I'm not really confident. I'm not as super confident as I am going into this next game against Melbourne. But I think Penrith, they needed that rocket up the arse the first game, and I think they needed another rocket up the arse because they came out pretty well. If Cleary scores that first try, I think Penrith go and do a little bit of a job on them because we got a lot of momentum going. If Luai scores that try, that's a try there. Nato scores that try. Momorowski doesn't throw it out to Critter. That's a try too. So there's so many options and opportunities there for Penrith. But we've done this 2 weeks in a row where we haven't iced out opportunities. And I think it's a worrying sign. I think there's a little bit of self-doubt in the team right now, and I think they needed a grind-out win, an ugly win to get back into their system, back into their wins. And I think they realised, like, they look at it, we've left a couple of points off the field both games, and we haven't been good in both games, but we've won both. We've won one out of the two, and we only lost to South Sydney by 6. Like, everybody thinks, we got fucking killed by them. I lost by 6. So I think if we can come in with the right energy, the right mindset, if we start really strong and we come off with a lot of if we have a lot of contributing players off the bench, I think it's going to be a really tough game against Melbourne. But I do want to say a couple of players at Parramatta that played absolutely outstanding. I thought Brent Naden did a really good job, and I think that you can't drop him. You can't just drop him for To'o. If it's me, To'o comes back to the left wing. Hundo. Now we put Critter in the right centre. You drop Momorowski, put Brent Naden in the right centre. It is a risk. It is a gamble. But in the finals, you have to take calculated risks and gambles. I think that team's more of an offensive, potent team. I think Momorowski's a good defender, but you look at Melbourne. He's come from Melbourne. Don't be shocked if Melbourne knows every absolute weakness of Momorowski. Like, let's be honest here. They had him for a year. They know what his tendencies are. Does he like to shoot up in the line real quick? Does he go for a show and go? Does he like to jam? Like all those types of things. So I think, Penrith, you've got to take risks. And if Brent Naden didn't do what he did last year before the grand final, he probably was a regular in this team. Like, let's be honest. He was a regular in their team last year when they went on this streak. So I definitely think that he could definitely still be in that team. If it's me, I'm picking him or Isaac Targo. It's one of the other two options for me. But yeah, Penrith, it was a shaky win, but it was a win. So hopefully it gives us some momentum. We'll talk about that Melbourne matchup very soon. But I want to go back to the Sydney Roosters versus Manly game. Oh, another two mentioned players. Isaiah Yeo, if he has to be close to being captain of the year. I don't think he'll get it, but he's done a really, really good job with this team. Just the way he spoke in that press conference, I really like the characteristics of him as a leader. He's a player that you want to play against. And another player I thought that was a gun, like dead set, a freak. Nearly went over the line a couple of times, scored a little bit of meat. Tavita Pangai Jr., if the Bulldogs get that Tavita Pangai Jr., mate, he will play Origin. Like, he was that good. He was a really strong force for us. He had some really tough carries that got us out of a little bit of, momentum buster. So I thought he was really, really good. But I'm going to switch now, moving on to the Roosters and Manly game. Now, I think this was the perfect game for Manly to get back into that winner's circle. I thought it was going to be a bit of a fucking touch-up for them. I had on my little multi, Manly 13 plus, Tommy double, Saab anytime, Ruben Garrick 10 points or over, got up, kiddies. But, I just thought that, coming in, if they got to a fast start, they would just keep going and going. But in saying that, if you're a Roosters fan, if you're someone that loves the Roosters, you can't not be proud of what you did. And not proud of that game last night because you guys didn't do a really good job. That's obvious. But you guys had so many injuries. Boyd Cordner had to retire. Friendy had to retire. Luke Keary, first couple rounds, does his ACL. You blood 9 first graders. You blood a Sam Walker and Egan Butcher. You blood, Ben Thomas. You blood Ben Marshke. You blood, those are just a couple of names. You have Drew Hutchison now playing consistent. You have Sam Walker. Lockie Lamb's playing consistent minutes. Victor Radley's in and out of the season. You lose Brett Morris. You lose Josh Morris. You lose Joseph Manu. You lose all these international type level players. And you guys still made it to the second week of the finals. I don't care. I know Craig Bellamy will most likely get the coach of the year. And I understand it, but my God, Trent Robinson, I think, deserves it. What he did with this team was outrageous. He got them so close, but yet so far. But, mate, I just think he's the future of coaching, if you ask me. Because we don't know how long Bellamy's got to go. At the most, he's got at least 2 to 3 years. And then Bennett, he doesn't have a coaching gig for next season. And I don't think a Brisbane team's going to come in at next season. At the earliest, it could be 2023. But he's not going to be in the league. So it's going to be Trent Robinson's league, I reckon, in a couple of years. And I think he can definitely run it. So, I think if Trent Robinson, if you... The obvious choice is Wayne, is Craig, but I think it's Trent Robinson Coach of the Year. I think he deserves it thoroughly. He did a great job with that team. But moving on to the game, Manly showed to me why I thought that they were the Smokies of the NRL, why I thought that they could be a really, really strong team. And I think, a lot of the games that they played previously, they played some average teams, and the scorelines got a little bit lopsided, but it wasn't great, football. I think this was a real good performance. I think it's given them a heap of confidence going into next week's game. Obviously, Tommy had a great game. I think pulling him off with 64 minutes, on the clock, 65, whatever it was, really smart move. I thought it was just a little bit too early, but once they iced those other 2 tries, It was a smart play. Now he's going to be a little bit more rested. They got DCE off, Ches. They did a really good job. Locke and Croker went off too. They did a really good job. And I think for me, some of my favourite players from that game, Dylan Walker, great. Des has found him a new little lease of life. He's, a little bit smaller lock. He comes on, energy, effort, and he's a runner. He just runs the ball. He runs the ball hard, fast, with a lot of intent. So I think he really kind of turned the game on its head a little bit. I thought that Ruben Garrick, Jason Saab, they just did their job. But then, Morgan Harper, he had a great game. He came back. Last week you could have said, mate, he was a little bit in his shell. He was a little bit frazzled. And that's completely fair. But, mate, he's come back after that game and he's had a really, really strong game. I know Napoleon Dynamite, Chris Lilly lookalike, whatever you want to call it. But he had a really, really good game. I'm really happy to see him go back, get a little bit of form, leading into this preliminary final. But, yeah, I think Manly just did what they were doing for the previous games and so they just stuck to what they knew for the previous, couple of weeks. They just got into the game. They got their forwards rolling, and I think they won that forward possession. And I think Sean Kepi coming starting, and then you bring Marty Tapau off the bench. I think that's a little bit of a masterstroke. And now we know that, Marty Tapau's probably not going to play for Manly, next season. He's been told by Manly, if you can go get another big offer somewhere, we're not going to stand in your way. Someone like Ethan Bullimore is going to Manly. Apparently that's a done deal. So I think that they're looking more into the future. But I think Sean Kepi was a really smart move as a starter. And the way I look at it, 5 of the best coaches, 4 of them are in the finals, right? Des, Ivan, Craig, Wayne, and then Trent Robinson. I would say out of all those 5, the best 4 is Wayne, Craig, Desi, and Trent. But, still, Ivan's been doing a really good job with those Penrith Panthers boys, the Penny boys. But, yeah, I just think that, Des Hasler, they started 0-4 and people had them done, written off, and now they're in the preliminary final. I don't care what anybody says. This is a successful season for Manly. They're not that old, really. They've got a DCE, a Foz. They've got Dylan Walker, who's a little bit up there, but they're not a super old team. I think that Manly can be a little bit of a threat for a long, long time, at least 4 to 5 years. I think their window's just as open as someone like a Penrith. Penrith's a lot younger, but I think their window's, really, really open. So for me, I'm really excited to see what Manly do. Now, I'm going to talk about their pre-game first. Manly versus Souths. And let me just say, there was no chance in hell you could have told me that Souths or Manly are going to verse either Penrith or Melbourne in the grand final. I thought, Manly, yeah, I can take Manly, but not Souths. And I'm really leaning towards Manly winning this game because I think if they're forwards, and I think South's forwards are better, I'm not denying that, but I think if Manly can have a good day out and their forwards get rolling, mate, Tommy is that hard to stop. Like, who's going to stop him from that South Sydney team? And the way Melbourne did it was by committee. So maybe Souths look to do that, look to do it by committee. But I just think that I don't see that big stopper in Souths. And that stopper in Souths could have definitely been someone that's sitting on the sideline. That's Latrell. And obviously he can't be in this game. And I think that's the tell factor. I think it's going to be either if Souths win, this game, Latrell's going to be missing in one of these games. And I think it's this game right now. I think the preliminary final, he's got experience, Latrell. Latrell's a back-to-back champion at the Roosters. He knows how to get it done in big games. Origin, I think he was the best player in the Origin series, if you ask me. So he knows how to get it done. I think he's a massive loss. And I think people are forgetting that they don't have him. So I think that's why I have Manly winning. If they get on the go forward, if Turbo's just going and moving, I think that they can get it done. But in saying that, it's a fairy tale finish for South Sydney if they make it. Wayne's last year, Reynolds possibly last games ever for South Sydney. You just never know. And the way I see it, I see Manly getting a quick start, but then South slowly coming back. But then I just see Manly getting one try and just getting another try. And I just think they're just going to have a little bit more polish. And I think South Sydney are a more veteranized team. They have a little bit more polish. But I think Turbo's a player that could just flip a game on its head. And right now, someone like South, I don't see someone that for them more like that. And someone can say, what do you mean? They got Cody Walker. But Turbo's got it. Turbo's got it. There's not a lot of times people have seasons like this. So I think Turbo's going to get that team. And he's going to take them all the way to the GF. And if you ask me, I would say Manly either 13 plus or a real tight one or 6. win by 6 or win by 13 plus. I don't see it being other way. I think Turbo's going to have a real strong outing. I think someone like a Ruben Garrick's going to play really tough. Ola Kawatu, I think he's going to have a really good game. And then Schuster, just do what he did yesterday. Don't try to be too much. Just play your game, play what you see, play what's in front of you. I think if they do that, I think that they can get the win. Now we're going to move on to the grand final, if you ask me. The grand final everybody thought of, and that is Penny Panthers versus the Melbourne Storm. Now, this is going to be a cracking game. I think it's going to be tighter than what people think, or it's going to be an absolute whitewash to either team. Now, the way I think about that, Melbourne have this week off. They've been able to watch. They're going to do a lot of film on these Penny boys. And the last time that they played, yes, Melbourne did give them a bit of a touch-up. But in saying that, Penrith had no Cleary, no Fisher-Harris. I don't believe they had Isaiah Yeo, Brighton To'o. They're 4 most important players, if you ask me. So I think that this is going to be a real strong game. And let's not forget, Melbourne, Penrith, they're 1-1 this season against each other. Penrith have found a way to beat them. They know how to beat them. It's going to be interesting for me to see what Penrith can come up with. Because if they don't ice their opportunities, they're not going to get any other opportunities from a Melbourne. And Melbourne, they take their opportunities and they run with it. Now, we've both seen both of these teams go through a little bit of a lull during the regular season. And I think Penrith are in a lull right now. But I think that Penrith realise they can't be in a lull against Melbourne. And I don't care what anybody says. You step up better against the better teams. And I think Penrith, they stepped up tonight as to what they needed to do. When they were South last week, they didn't step up. They know they're going to have to step up against Melbourne. So I think, with my heart, I'm going Penrith. With my head, I would say Melbourne. But in saying that, if Melbourne just get to the roll, I don't think Penrith can come back. And I'm trying not to be as biased as I can, but, I obviously want Penrith to win. I obviously want them to win. I think it'd be great for them and, their self-esteem. And it would shut old Kenny up, because Kenny, I needed to talk about you, brother. Hey, what's doing? Are we still choke artists still? We got the win. Not a good win. Not a great win, an ugly win. Maybe like your head, because you are called Radiohead, brother. But no, we got the win, mate. So just sit back on your horse. And if we get Melbourne, you got nothing to say. You got nothing to say. You got zip. You got zippy to say. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, Penrith, Melbourne, it's going to be a cracking game. I think it's going to be the best game of the final series, if you ask me. And then, yeah, I'm going with Penrith. I don't care. My head says Melbourne, but I'm going with Penrith. I think Penrith, if it's a dry track, I think there could be a decent amount of points, but it'll still be a tight game. It could be like a 20-18 or a 20-16, something like that. Or it could be a real game like we just saw against Penrith and Parramatta. But I think the only two teams that beat Melbourne were Penrith and Parramatta, and they just had a dogfight. Now, it could work into Penrith's favour where, they've gotten, a nice sense of confidence, or they could be really fucked from this game. They might not have as much, rest. They do have a 7-day turnaround, which is pretty good, but they might not have as much rest, so they got to get the recovery right. They got to get their bodies right. Well, Melbourne have been sitting up there playing a bit of golf, playing a little bit of flog, so I'm not too sure. It's going to be a great game. But guys, that is the wrap-up of week 2 of the NRL finals. I just thought it was a great round. I thought it was really, really good to see. If you guys like this NRL content and you like to see me keep it flowing, definitely happy to do so. Was going to talk a little bit about the NBA right now, but it's a bit of a lull right now, and I'm not just going to push out any bad content. There will be a couple of NBA podcasts coming up during the week, but guys, that is the round 2 preview, and guys, just listen to this for a little bit. Oh, where it is? Here it is. Woohoo! Go to Panthers, baby. Eat that Duffy and coach. I love that. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. All of the content that's coming your way. Hit us up on Instagram at LanesMedia_, all under capitalized letters. Thanks for listening, guys, but most importantly, have a great day.